Hey folks, Segasonicfan here, and today I'm taking a look at these Dymo label makers, or Letra Tag if you want to be fancy. These are neat little things that you've probably heard of or seen around somewhere that use a internal thermal printer with a keypad, of course, and you can put in your favorite whatever symbols or words and print out a tag, which comes on a little piece of adhesive tape. So it's this kind of adhesive tape combined with a thermal printer and a keypad, and it makes what it says it does. It makes labels, and it's got a manual push mechanism for cutting off the labels. They're pretty nifty little devices. Definitely something that feels extremely 1990s or like early 00s, but still very useful today. I'm sure they still make them. And these have the dreaded corroded leaking alkaline battery issue. So these had batteries in them for too long because label makers don't get used frequently, at least not here. And so yeah, the alkaline batteries leaked, and even after cleaning the contacts on this one, it was none too happy. So I'm taking these apart, learning a little bit, and going to inject some power from my bench supply. Figure in the process, I might as well take you all with me and look inside these crazy contraptions. What's cool about these is they're a mix of digital electronics and mechanical gears and such. As you can see here, there's a bunch of gears in there, and they're just kind of nifty. Like you open this back plate, and it's, the gears are turning. This spindle, of course, for the tape, and then it's doing all these other turns and stuff. I guess this is the head of the thermal printer right there. And it's just, it's what a nifty, weird thing. You don't really see stuff like this elsewhere. I can tell you right away, this particular unit is not going to be my choice if I get both of these fixed, because as we can see, they've opted for not using a connector on the LCD or the thermal printer. They've decided to save some money and just solder down these two tabs here for this guy. That's just janky. That's janky. And you can see there's a ton of pins under there where all the contacts go. I'm definitely have to be careful with that. And yeah, that's just a way manufacturers save cost, because a connector can be as much as, a couple bucks. There's also an opto coupler here. Interesting. I wonder what that's for. Looks like there's a wheel here. Interesting. So that wheel maybe that opto coupler that's a way for it to know how far it's dispensed the thermal tape. I guess you could call it a thermal sticker tape. And of course, we got motors labeled here. We've got battery input. We've got a diode here. Very likely this stuff is a flyback diode, which is very necessary for motors. Got a large decoupling cap with a little bit of hot glue on it, and some mystery ICs, some epoxy blob ICs. So yeah, everything about this was really done to budget. And it's not shocking, as this is an item that's not going to be used a ton, probably by most people that buy it. It just needs to work, when, relatively few times. And it's probably aimed at a really budget price. This probably was, $20-30 when it was new, maybe 40 at the most. So, you're packing in a lot of functionality into something for that price range. You got a display, you've got digital electronics, you've got a thermal printer, you've got motors, that's a lot of stuff. So I can see why they cut some corners. Let's go ahead and open this model, which is probably newer. And this one has a lot more screws. I remember when I put this all together, I was like, oh, I don't want to take this apart again. Now that I think I was overly optimistic I had fixed it. Because I did take it apart once just to clean out those contacts from all the leaking alkaline. By the way, I said it once, I'll say it again. This works. Electric screwdriver. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread. You should get one. And then I'm just using some extended shaft Phillips bits. I have a bunch of these. This particular one is from Owl Tools, OWL Tools. No affiliation, I just like naming nice parts, nice tools when I come across them because they help me. And give credit where credit's due, you know? It's nothing too exciting here, just taking out some screws. Oh, that one. Got the angle wrong on that. My only gripe on this electric screwdriver is the torque. You can't get it really, really low. You can't get the really, really low sensitivity that I would like. And there's one they make that's like $100 that's got a touch sensor, and I guess it's got an accelerometer, so you can literally pivot it to make it turn and stuff. And that just seems way overly fancy to me. But hey, I don't have one yet. Maybe they're awesome. Maybe I'll get one someday. So here we are. Gonna open the beast up now. And okay. Similar budget-saving techniques as far as connectors and such, but at least it's in a way that it's not being pulled on when you open up the casing. And that's promising. We've got 3 connectors over there. Aha, because one of them is our DC input. That's cool that there's a DC input. I should give that a shot. So we've got our DC input, we've got our battery input, and I kind of like that they're using these kind of 1990s style ribbon cables that were used for IDE hard drives and such. It's good stuff. It's usually like 28 gauge. Because it was made in such large quantities, it's very affordable. It's a good way to go when you're trying to create a cost-saving product. And we've got 4 diodes, chunky diodes there, which is very interesting. That usually indicates a bridge rectifier, but I don't know why that would be something it would need. You get a large cap and 4 diodes like that. It definitely indicates an AC to DC rectification, but this is a DC machine. So I'm actually really quite curious what that's all about. If you look here, actually on the DC input, it says that it's 9 volts with a center negative, which means it'll work with my guitar pedal type power supplies, possibly, if it's one of those like standard 2.1 millimeter barrel jacks. And what else can we say about it? Just a lot of like gears and little pivoty things and springs and stuff. It's cool. It's cool to look at. This, of course, is the blade that cuts off when you're done. And I use this one mostly. Back when it was working, it was doing quite a good job. So yeah, I wonder if maybe I damaged this when I took this apart by assuming it was. I don't know, maybe assuming that it wasn't center negative or something, because that is unusual. You can see here the 3 pins, so that's interesting. The jack itself is a mechanical disconnect for making sure that you don't actually connect the power of the batteries and the power coming from the jack. So it's using the ground as the jack. So that's why there's 3 pins. You have a ground, and you have negative and positive supply. The orange is obviously it's the positive supply. The purple's the negative supply, and it's shorted through the mechanical action of the barrel jack right now to this other pin, which then pulls it from the batteries. But when you insert something, it breaks that connection, and then you still have positive and negative. But then it'll come just from the purple, and the battery won't be connected anymore. So that's nice, simple design. What's interesting about that, though, is you have 4 battery cells here, which means it's like a 6 volt, 5 to 6 volt system. It says here use only high capacity AA alkaline batteries, but the jack is rated at 9 volts. So, look at that. Not surprising in a motorized system, it actually likes higher voltage. And it literally goes to the same input, which means that this is really a 9 volt system, and it's kind of underpowered at 6. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on my really handy custom bench supply that I built. And go ahead and test this bad boy. By the way, this is totally random, but I got one of these just to test it out. I'll do a video on this maybe later. Not as nice as what I already am using for my bench supply, sadly. I was kind of excited about this one, but I've got something a little better already. So I'm just going to disconnect it because this is where my wires are. My power connectors are currently being used. And what I like to do, because I just have a soldering iron here ready with a lot of connectors and stuff, I just solder it. You know, I don't need to. I'm not a fan of screw terminals. I don't think I ever use them for anything. Maybe like connecting a speaker or something. But a lot of these like DIY projects have screw terminals on everything. And I don't know if do you guys, anyone here use screw terminals a lot? I sure don't. I wonder if it's for beginners that are afraid to solder or something. People that maybe if you're in the field, you don't have access to a soldering iron. Although I'll tell you nowadays, it's never been easier to get portable soldering irons. 10, 20 years ago, you know, they used to have those butane ones. And nowadays, that's like a thing of the past. They've got real nice electric ones that, you know, of course, use lithium ion and work like a charm. All right, so I'm just disconnecting those two wires there. I know it's kind of on the edge of the camera here, but don't have the best, don't have a ton of room on my bench still. Even my new bench is still a little more cramped than I would like, but so it goes. All right, so I'm gonna turn on my power supply. I'm gonna adjust it down to, let's do 8.5, just to be on the safe side. And go ahead, apply a little solder here. And my bench supply is already thoroughly fused, and it's got polarity protection, other stuff, so I'm not too worried about that, adding a fuse in line or anything. And I'm going to go ahead and just do a triple check, even though it's really overkill. I like to do this anyway before I apply power. I'm going to go ahead and measure the negative rail of the capacitor and what I believe is the negative input. And no, what about the positive input? No, okay. So, interesting. The negative input is not going to that capacitor. So I can't use that capacitor as a reference. But what can I use as a reference? That's the question. Also, just like a bit confused at the wiring here, because where does the positive? Because the positive wire is this orange one. It actually goes to the battery terminal. So then how is positive going? Ah, okay, because this is, no, that shorts to the negative terminal. Okay, maybe the part where it's actually, yeah, that's where I got it wrong. The part that's actually connected on the barrel jack is positive rail. So what that means is that my positive rail is not the orange wire that goes to the battery. That's the part that gets shorted. It's actually the other gray wire, which makes sense because that's what goes to the motherboard. So let me go ahead and, again, this is kind of off camera. Let's try to move things up. It's actually this guy over here. One downside when using these gray wires is they don't have, you know, much color indication for polarity and such, but, you know, not a huge deal. Okay, so yeah, that makes a lot more sense. And that would be going to the positive. So yeah, I'm confident in the polarity now that I figured that out. going to go ahead and turn this on, and it does have a soft start button. Not holding my breath, but let's see what happens. Hey, what do you know? And it works. Well, there you go. So it really was my battery terminals being corroded nasty, but they don't appear to have done any permanent damage. Huh. Or it's the, it could be that shorting contact in the barrel jack itself. But let's print something. Something very sensible that we should all think about. No! Sega. All right, let's print this sucker. See what happens. Printing. Press in to cut it, and there you go. Sega. That's a thermal printer for you, folks, and this peels off, and then you can put on whatever you want. So, yeah, success. I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up and hopefully get this working off batteries again. But honestly, don't need it to work off batteries. I might just do it because I'm already in here. Yeah, I don't need this to work off batteries. It's not as good off batteries. It's not getting the full supply voltage, which means the motor's going to be a little bit weaker, a little bit slower. And I kind of like learning that this is actually a 9-volt system, knowing that I can use 9-volt supplies, very possibly my audio power connector 9-volt supplies, and or might just modify this, honestly, to be barrel center positive, since I have more of that stuff around the house. Yeah, I'm going to think about it. I'm going to see what's going to be the best option for upgrading this if I care to do so. But yeah, this one's a success. Poke at the other one later. But you get the idea. Cool little nifty things. And a very, very cool piece of like 2000s technology that I think is still going strong. You don't need a phone app for everything, folks. This is Segasonicfan, signing out.